Okay, I think we might be working now. Oh, finally. Okay. Let me change some settings. And then we're good to go. Welcome, if you've just joined the live stream. I'm setting up some things to hopefully get us ready. I've been struggling quite a bit with this whole live stream thing. Past a little bit. This is going to be episode 19 of What's New with Mead. And my hope is to have some people call in, but I do need to go ahead and set up a few things first. So give me a second to finish what I'm doing, and I promise you I'll be with you. With Mead. Oh. I'm sure that pro streamers really have this down, but I don't. Okay. Is this working? Hello. Whoa. We got people. All right. I'm getting back to my stream. I can't. Come on, computer. My computer's about to take off. I need to get to... There it is. Oh, there we go. Oh, hello, Maddie, Charles, Slipnir, don't know how to say that, Renato, Blue Onion, David, Charles, hello. Man, I am happy you guys are here. It's super good to see you. I got something special. Let me get... First of all, if you want to join to kind of chat about some mead making things tonight, I'm going to put a link down to a Discord channel. Now, some of you guys might know what Discord is. Some of you might not know what Discord is, but it's basically just another room to chat about mead making, and it's just another community. So I'm going to put it in the description there, or not description, in the whatever that is, the comment section, and I'm going to put it also in the description so that you guys can, there we go, join me on Discord. If you hop on there, there is a spot where you can, we're going to do like a call-in section, basically. So if you'll go on and click on the call-in show portion, if I have done this correctly, then hopefully we'll be able to chat a little bit. And I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for a little bit. Welcome. We already got somebody. I'm still changing some settings. There we go. Oh, that's okay. Welcome, Brew Boy. If you want to join, feel free to join the Discord. How's it going, Brew Boy?
Pretty good, thank you. How are you?
Good. If you guys, like I said, I literally just figured this out about 30 minutes ago. If you notice it working, not working, let me know. But I'm great, Brew Boy, now that I'm figuring out my life in some fashion. I don't know if you're watching the live stream or not, but...
oh, yeah, that's how I jumped to your Discord from there.
Sweet. Hey, so what do you got going on in your brew house?
I have a banana mead that's conditioning, and then I have a sizer that's also conditioning.
Very cool. So... what did you do for your banana mead? Because I know bananas are a hard flavor to nail.
Yeah, so I let them ripe till the skin went black, cut it up with the skins, cook them in some water for about 20 minutes, and then I just mixed it with honey and put the whole thing into a glass carboy.
How long has that been going so far?
It took about a month and a half for the fermentation to get over. I had to set up a blow off tube because the pulp was always threatening to break out.
Yeah.
and but after the primary, it tasted like rotten bananas for some time, and it
Oh.
fermented out dry. I was hoping it would be semi-sweet, but it fermented out dry. I
Uh-huh.
think the yeast got too excited, and
Yeah.
then now that it's been conditioning for over a month and a half after the primary, it's recovering some of its banana characteristics and starting to taste a little better. But I think I need to sweeten
So
once I stabilize it.
you said you added the actual banana peels to your mead, right?
Yeah, yeah, the pulp and the peel together.
Sweet. So did you end up noticing any different mouthfeel because of that? Because of adding them in?
Um, I would say it has a slightly more body, but don't take my word for it because this is just my second mead going on. Oh, I think I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. Sorry, I'm double checking one thing as well.
Oh.
So that's interesting. I'm really curious about that because recently I started to investigate the idea that bananas add mouthfeel or tannic value, and so I was curious to see what you thought. I just ran a test with it recently, and it was just interesting. I personally didn't notice a ton, but I didn't put the banana peels in, so.
I did get some banana meat from a local meadery close to my place in New Jersey. What they did was I believe they made it traditional, and then they put in the bananas during secondary, and they did not use the peel. I believe they also used some vanilla, and they aged it in a.
They used what? I'm sorry.
They used also some vanilla.
Okay.
With the bananas, and then they aged it in a barrel for.
I see. Okay. Interesting. Oh wow, I didn't think about vanilla. Maybe that probably helps pronounce some flavors. One thing I did notice, I don't know if you probably didn't have a side by side. With my tests that I ran recently, I noticed that bananas actually cleared up the mead some compared to like a control version. So obviously you probably didn't have a side by side of like a control, but that's one thing I noticed that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I didn't have it side by side, but I think the bananas do contain pectic enzyme by default in the peels. I think that might be contributing to
I need to do the
helping the
test
meat clear up.
again. Yeah, I need to do the test again sometime with banana peels because I just used the meat of the fruit, and I didn't really notice any mouthfeel, but I did notice the change in clarity. So.
Right. Yeah, but it's super hard to get all the bananas to sediment down. I think the next batch I'm going to do is I'll try to have all the pulp in a fruit bag so that I can just pull it off.
Yeah,
And not have it in a glass carboy.
That would be way easier for sure, man. Hey, if you are in the stream right now and you want to chat, I would love to chat with you guys. I've figured out I think I figured it out how to chat with you guys. If you'll go to the link in the description of this video or the chat right now, you'll notice that is for Discord. Discord is just a place to chat about mead making and really other things in the world. But specifically tonight, I'm using the call-in show voice channel for taking questions, chatting about mead making, all of those things. If you want to be a part of this, super simple, hit that link, and then you might have to create, if you don't have a Discord, you might have to create a username, something like that, but it's an easy way for you guys to chat. So this is going to be I'm just doing an easy episode 19 of not Canada Mead, What's New with Mead, my podcast. So this is just a fun time to chat about mead making. But yeah, if you feel free to join us. If not, we'll be chatting regardless. Brew Boy, can I call you by something else, or do you want to go by Brew Boy?
Yeah,
Cool.
Brew Boy's fine.
Are you drinking anything tonight, or are you?
No, I've been drinking on Fridays and Saturdays, so today is just kombucha day to detox.
Yeah, to recover. Okay, that's interesting. I'm drinking. So this is, I recently got, I don't know if you've ever heard of Superstition Meadery, but they are a group from, where are they from? I should know this. Prescott, Arizona. Anyways, they make a bunch of really interesting meads, and this one is a peanut butter and jelly mead that I got from them. It's one of the, I'm not going to say very few, but there aren't a lot of people making peanut butter jelly meads. This one is,
I guess it's difficult to get the peanut flavor in.
Yeah, well, this one, I was definitely interested in it because after I went to my first mead competition, which was the Iron Bee, I tried one. What was it called? Shoot, it was a peanut butter jelly mead from a different company that was just fantastic. It tasted exactly like a peanut butter jelly sandwich with honey, basically, and it was awesome. And so I went home and tried to recreate a similar one, and
nice.
It's definitely eventful. I just did a mead review of this thing, and then I also kind of tasted mine from before. And peanut flavor is hard to get for one, but also jelly flavor. It's really not too hard to get jelly flavor because it's just kind of sweetness. And then if you're using grape juice, it's just grape juice. But the hard part for me, and the thing that I got a little disappointed with this guy, is that it doesn't have a lot of bready flavor, which is like the other half of the battle for a peanut butter jelly sandwich. You want bready flavor. At least I do.
Probably need to get some malt in.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I found out with mine actually was using graham crackers. Oh. So, yeah, I've thrown graham crackers in many times now, and it's been really good for adding bready body. It also adds some spices because naturally graham crackers have I think some clove and cinnamon and nutmeg and those various things that are like baking spices. But regardless, it adds this really nice, literal pie tasting mouthfeel. So recently I made a apple pie bochet, and I used some graham cracker in it, and it literally, to me at least, tastes like a apple pie in a mead, and it's kind of dangerous. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. I've definitely enjoyed getting to test with that, but I'd heard about graham crackers, and it's kind of cool to finally test them and see, especially after about 6 months or a year at least, what it does. We got some people joining the Discord. Welcome. We got some fun. Got a few new people. If you want to join the Discord, hit the link in the chat, or go look in the description for that, and you can chat with us. I'm here to ask questions, or not ask questions, answer questions. I'll ask some questions, of course. I don't know everything, that's for sure. But yeah. So Brew Boy, you said you have a banana mead going on, and you have something else, right?
The cider, yeah. I basically bought the Whole Foods apple cider, including which comes with the free carboy. Oh, there you go. Yeah. and then just used up, added some honey to it. Used a D67.
A D47, yeah.
And then D47.
Oh, you're good.
And then just let it sit. Though it did take a lot of time to clear up, even after I used a pectic enzyme addition separately.
So, how did you do an airlock on that? Did you brew? Oh, I guess it's probably a normal carboy, like these up here. So you're probably not.
Yeah, it's a normal carboy. So yeah, like the ones you have in your bag.
Yeah, I actually been buying. I think it's called table wine, but it's like the really cheap wine you can get from liquor stores. That is, the carboy itself is more expensive than the wine. I
think it's like Carlo Rosso or something like that, right?
Yes, yeah.
I believe.
And they're I've been buying those, and you can have a glass or two, and it's like it's okay stuff. But then you you just dump it all out, and you have yourself a carboy for the same price as like
Same
if you were to
price.
buy it on Amazon. So I've been doing that. Free drinks essentially. Well, not free, but
Cheap. You
Yeah,
can also
cheap.
probably use it in a barrel just to have like a wine infusion.
yeah. Seriously though, I mean, I honestly think it'd be interesting to force carbonate one of those, make it like a sparkling, because they're all like 6 or 7%, or some of them are. Some are like 12%.
Right,
I
yeah.
don't know how they must be putting some crazy stuff in there to get up to 12% for that cheap. But yeah, just to maybe carbonate one and see what it would be like. Who knows? Maybe that's the better way to try it. So
Yeah.
we've got some questions here, and Brew Boy, you're welcome to answer them if you feel comfortable. I'm going to answer some of these questions and some of these comments. So I got some people saying. Renato says, "Where can I send you my first creation?" I have a PO box down in the bottom of the description. If you want to send me stuff, I'll gladly. I won't taste test it on a video, but I will send you a. I'd take like just a quick video of me trying it and give you some of my notes. Not that I know everything about mead making, but. Tom asks, do you sell your meads and are you sending out to new subscribers? I don't normally do that. It's very specialty circumstance because I prefer not to get in trouble. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Brandon, welcome. JC, love your content. Thank you so much. That's so kind. Snoopy, just went to a quick tour of my local meadery. Well, it's sweet to see how they brew lots of stainless for sure. Yogi says, evening. Kale says, I've been watching your videos for months now. I can't believe I can ask you this question. What's your favorite yeast that has the best desperation time? I'm not sure what you mean by desperation time, but I would say my favorite yeast I use commonly is the Lauben QA3 recently and the EC1118. Those have both been really good. And I actually experimented recently with some Kveik. I have a Voss I'm going to start using as well, and it's been pretty nice. JC says, can you talk about adding Puree to secondary fermentation? Of course I will. Yeah, I would add a Puree. I would stabilize if you want to not have carbonation. That way you don't have any re-fermentation. But Puree definitely adds a lot of garbage to your mead. You deal with a lot of sediment. So, all right, I'm going to get back to my Discord. Come and join the Discord if you want to hear, or if you want to chat. We got Bounty Hunter Dre in the chat now. How's it going?
Hello.
Hey.
It's going great, man.
Welcome. So what do you have going on in your brew house?
So currently I have a apple pie sizer going on
Yeah, that's what I'm
right
talking about.
now. Right now it's in secondary, so I just put in the cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and yeah, that's just
So
sitting
did
in
you
secondary right
use
now.
real apple, or you used apple juice? Did you do anything afterwards? Did you notice any loss of apple flavor?
Yeah, so I actually started with it's a 6.5 gallon batch.
Uh-huh.
So I put roughly 2 gallons of cider,
Okay.
and then I filled the rest with water and the honey.
Okay.
And then in secondary, and then I did cut some apples up and put that in primary, and then I'm doing another 3 pounds in secondary just to bolster that flavor up, because
Yeah.
I lost whatever to the airlock.
Yep. Sacrifice to the airlock gods.
I have no apple flavor in my sizer yet. It's just honey.
That's okay though. Honestly, I think going in the secondary and adding most of your flavor is like the easiest way to get what you want, because depending on your yeast and how vigorous they are, you could lose every bit of flavor you put into the mead. So it's kind of not that it's worthless to put it into the primary. It's iffy. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I was actually
it's
thinking
almost
of
like
using that.
it's a fruitless endeavor, you know.
Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, for right now, it tastes somewhat appley, so I just wanted to put a little more just to give it that oomph it needs. And then my second batch, I have a tropical hydromel.
Ooh.
A tropical hopped hydromel.
Yeah. What's your flavors? What are you going for flavor wise with that?
So I mostly went towards like pineapple, guava, and a little bit of mango.
Okay.
And the hops that I had gotten from my friend, it gives off a lot of guava notes. So trying to lean a little more towards guava, but it's coming out really nice. It's a little bit thinned, so I'm adding tannins in the secondary. So
I would look at adding with that. Did you say you're going to try and carbonate it?
Yeah.
I would look to add maybe some acid blend. That's something I've been experimenting with recently, and it has drastically changed the mouthfeel of like every mead that I ever put it in. Of course, I'm putting like a tiny amount, but generally
but that's all you ever need.
Yeah, you don't need a lot for sure. And I don't know. Some people don't like using those things, and some people like using specifically citric acid or malic acid or whatever one they want to use. But I just get kind of lazy and I just throw in the acid blend, and I get kind of the point where I want.
That reminds me. I do have a bag of acid blend, but it's just been in the back of my closet for so long. I just remembered where it was.
I'll definitely get it out and try some. I mean, it only takes a little. That's what's crazy to me, is it only literally takes the tiniest bit in order to accomplish like such a drastic change from beginning to end. So
yeah, I mean, I had just moved, so I've just been like just finally shifting through all my stuff recently. I have like all my brewing stuff in like 10 different boxes, my keg here, my CO2 canister over there. So,
you'll get back to it.
I'll probably get to it soon.
I know the point when I move is going to be a giant mess. I have, oh my gosh, so much stuff. I was realizing the other day as I was moving stuff out of boxes to give away to some friends that like everything above me is only like 70% of what I have. I've been shoving boxes in closets for like 2 years now, and I was like, oh crap, I have like so much more just waiting. So it's nice. I've got lots of alcohol, but it's going to be a huge pain to move eventually.
Oh yeah, I dread moving.
For sure. I'm sorry if you're asking questions in the chat. I'll try and answer as I can. I want to make tonight more of a opportunity to chat with everybody. So if you want to chat specifically on the Discord, that's a little bit easier than trying to balance both. So feel free to join the Discord. I'm throwing the link in a million times. It's also in the description of this video. So, but I'm glad I'm getting to chat with you guys. We got another person, Odin, in here. You don't feel like you have to chat, Odin, if you just want to chill. But feel free to talk. How's it going, man?
That's good.
What do you got going in your brew house?
I've got currently a blackberry pepper, and then again, like everyone else, I got a cider going on. Just a big apple thing.
Yeah. So you said peppercorn?
Yeah.
Just straight peppercorn?
So, after watching a lot of your videos and stuff, some other extract making ideas, I've been taking like it started with oak wood chips. I've been taking some bourbon and soaking my oak chips before using them, and then also using that bourbon directly to flavor some of my meads.
Okay.
So I had this great idea where I was like, well, peppercorn, I mean, people think like pepper flavors, but peppercorn has a lot more flavors to it, especially if you buy it fresh and as the whole thing before it's grounded.
Yeah.
So I soaked some bourbon on it, and then I just took just the bourbon and added it into the mead to kind of blend it into the flavors with the blackberry.
Interesting. Okay.
And I also am a big fan of Saison yeast.
Mm-hmm.
Saison yeast typically, like, the description is that, oh, it's got a pepper or a peppercorn flavor to it. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to try to enhance that flavor. And that's why I tried some of that bourbon extract that I've been doing.
Where'd you get your bourbon extract?
So literally I've just mason jars, and then I bought the spices, and I'm using, my personal favorite is like the bullet rye,
Okay.
and just soaking it like you would do with like oak chips, if you were going to do oak chips, and just soaking the peppercorns in that, and it just, I mean, like after it sat for like a month, the intensity of that bourbon with the peppercorn flavor was intense. So it was like, okay, perfect. So like, just a spoonful is all you need.
Yeah, well, it's funny you're talking about peppercorns. Tomorrow, there's a video coming out that's Can It Be a Mead episode 3, and I actually end up using peppercorns in it. So that was a very interesting. It was my first time using peppercorns within a mead, but I kind of quickly realized that maybe it's the specific ones that I used, but obviously they have a shell, and they don't really seep flavor out of said shell. So I had to do, like, actually end up grinding them at some point to try and get the flavor profile I wanted. So I thought that was interesting for sure.
Yeah. So back during 4th of July this year, we did a brisket for the family, and I hand grinded the peppercorn, and like that's where I got the thought of trying to use it, and it was just, it's very earthy is the best way I could describe it, and and like I said, just soak it in a little bit of bourbon. I guess you could use vodka or something else if you want, if you don't want any of that bourbon flavor in it, like. And it came out pretty strong, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
last time I tried to soak anything in whiskey, I soaked some oak chips or oak cubes, and it was my first time ever doing it. I left them in for like probably way too long, and then I put way too many into this like little tiny sampler. I think I still have some back behind me, but it was. It's pretty dry tasting. It took all the life out of the mead. It's been sitting for like 2 years, so maybe there's some life back in it, but who knows? I haven't done that in quite some time. We got another person. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I just hit I've been brewing for a few years, and then I just hit a year this October of mead making, and let's just say I've overspiced a ton of my first ones, and that's why. And then watching your videos with the flavor additions, with the what's the
Amaretti
brand name of it, Amaretti. It's such a safer way of adding flavors without over intensifying it.
For sure.
So I figured that's why I've gone to like, okay, well, soak the oak chips. That's the way you can add just the bourbon if you want, or you can add the wood chips to the quantity that you want. It's just a little easier, at least in my brew house.
Yeah. One of my next goals is to just experiment with fortifying a mead and kind of seeing what that would do ultimately. I haven't ever done that, so I need to play around with it a little bit, and then hopefully I'll get a video out about it. But I think it'd be fun to test those waters. Okay, so I have to ask Obi-Wan Kenobi, who has joined the Discord, or are you an OBGYN somewhere? I don't know if he'll answer or not, but his name is funny to me because I don't know if you follow me on social media or you've seen recently I just got engaged, and my fiance is an OBGYN doctor, going to be an OBGYN doctor. So I think it's funny to see somebody else in that world, especially if they're a mead maker. So maybe
my mom's an OBGYN.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
My whole family's gonna.
Oh, he's about to talk. What you got for me?
Hello?
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, I am actually.
Oh, that's
it'll
awesome,
be-
man. How long you been doing it?
Oh dear, 14 years.
14 years, man. That's awesome. What do you got going on in your brew house? Doctor and mead maker or brewer?
I'm actually making two of them. I have they're actually my first meads that I've ever made. One of them is they're just basic meads, 1 gallon batches.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them has 4 pounds of honey. The other one's got 3 pounds. The 3 pounds I'm actually going to be doing the blackberry puree.
Okay.
In the secondary.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite recipe you've made so far in your world?
I actually was more of a beer maker previously.
Okay.
And actually watching your videos got me into mead making. So, but no, I guess I'm actually making my first mead right now. So.
Sweet. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'd say it is very. I'm finding now. I've been doing this for a while, and of course, I get the honor of giving you guys content. But one of the coolest things for me, aside from getting to hear that I'm inspiring people, is that I've actually tasted some of my meads that I made when I first started that have years of age, and I feel like it's like the same pride you have like when you. I'm sure when you have a kid. I don't have any kids, but you just like you see him grow up, you see him get better and older, and I'm kind of having that like weird time in my life where I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. So it's making me excited to see what my hopefully better meads will be like 3 years from now or more. Who knows?
Me too.
If I can wait that long. It's hard. I've got a lot of stuff, but that doesn't mean I don't like drinking it.
I feel the same way. I think I started like 2.5 years ago, and I'm finally getting back to like my first traditional and my Stroh's Ancient Orange, and they've gotten better. They've definitely gotten better.
It's definitely good if you can stagger your drinking of it, and have a bottle at 2 years and then have a bottle at 3 years and just see how they age. But it's also hard to wait that long, so props to the people who can forget about them forever. I'm definitely not one of those people.
Nor am I.
I try my best. I try and find the darkest piece of my closet that I can.
Yeah. I figure if you just keep making more, you eventually forget about the old stuff. So, or you kind of forget. We got another person in here. We have Javier. Welcome, Javier.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm good.
So what do you got going on in your brew house?
Let's see. Right now, I'm waiting for 5 gallons of a Pie Mead made with Lenore grapes and 11 pounds of honey to clear up and let it age out.
Okay. Sweet.
It was made with Kvike yeast. Just having fun with that, and just doing other weird stuff. I have currently a gallon of just a mead made with just random honey that I bought at the store and lager yeast.
Okay. Have you done that before? Have you used a beer yeast within mead, or is this your first time doing that?
This is like my second or third time. I'm trying different things, although with your recent video for does yeast retain its previous flavors and stuff. I was given by a few friends some yeast samples that they used in some beers, and so it retains a lot of that beer flavor. And right now I've just bought a fresh pack of A38 Imperial A38 yeast to use, just to see how it would go with a fresh pack and avoid those beer flavors.
Yeah, I'm actually doing my first ever yeast shooting out two different beer yeasts. So I thought it'd be interesting. I've always done, of course, wine yeast and mead yeasts and whatnot, but I thought it'd be interesting. So doing the, what is it, Safe Ale, USO5, and oh my god, I have too many things going on, so I can't remember everything. Oh, it's a Saison ale yeast. So that should be interesting. I don't really know. They're both moving way slower than, of course, wine yeast, because they're not really graded for the same durability, same ABV caps. But I've honestly never, other than one other time, used a beer yeast for mead. So is there any, in your comparison of wine to beer yeast, have you noticed any drastic difference?
Well, I mean, and again, I just think that's my weird palate. I think that you can drink them a little bit sooner, comparative to your typical, the B31B and either champagne yeast like DC 1118 or 1117. Oh wait, the Lalvin one.
Interesting.
But
so you think you can drink them quicker?
And yeah, and that's typically my goal with all this weird random stuff I'm doing. I've also tried to back sweeten with stevia, seeing how it did, and I used too much. So just if anybody's thinking about using it, do not use 1 cup of stevia for a gallon of mead.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh. Whoa.
Dang,
So,
man.
yeah, that's gonna turn out something. So I just threw some hops in there and see what happens.
I don't know. I'm trying to think what you can do with. I mean, I myself have an overly sweet mead that I'm trying to figure out what to do with. You can mix it with, I guess, a traditional of some sort, and maybe go half and half, make a really dry traditional.
I just diluted way too.
Sorry, Brew Boy, lost you. Say that again.
My first traditional is way too sweet. Yeah, pretty boozy, so I usually dilute.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, you think about like some of the nicest whiskeys in the world, people put an ice cube in, and like normally you don't, of course. Like some people get offended. I personally don't like putting ice cubes in mine, but that's just how life works. Sometimes you don't. I don't know. If someone's going to age a whiskey for 12 years in a barrel and then put an ice cube in it, I think it's okay for us to dilute down a mead that's 6 months old. But maybe that's just my opinion. I see lots of, and I'm not trying to ignore the chat. I promise you, chat. I'm enjoying this. There's like side conversations going on in the chat here, which is fun. Feel free, if you are in the chat, to join the Discord, not only for tonight, but there are a bunch of other channels and people in here, and we talk about mead making all the time, and it's very, very fun. I learn honestly just as much as anybody else from the group, because obviously I'm one man who can only try so many things. So feel free to join us. But I would love to know, of the people in here, and anyone else wants to join, has there been a recipe that you've tried that you would say to people to steer clear of? Like, this one was terrible, whether it be a public recipe or a personal recipe. Is there anything you would tell people to stay away from?
Well, I mean, just for personal preference, I would say, I guess, not put any jalapenos in primary.
Okay. Why is that? What did you notice about doing that?
Too much vegetal, and for my taste at least. I don't know. I've had a few beers and meads that have had jalapenos, and it just comes off very, very vegetal, and it seems like a fault. Not really. I
feel that for sure. In my, it was like, Can It Be a Mead episode 2, I put a jalapeno in, and it was very, very bell peppery, I purposely taken away the seeds to keep it from being too hot, and I think I did the wrong thing. Should have left the seeds. Jalapenos are definitely tough to use. I don't know about habaneros specifically, or serrano, or any of those. But yeah, jalapenos have been rough and interesting. Anyone else have a recipe that you would say to steer clear from? Or it can be personal too. You don't have to be like, it doesn't have to be a drawn line in the sand to say never make a, buckwheat traditional mead. I can tell you that mine, as much as I enjoyed the beginning of my blood orange dry hopped mead, after some age, I think it might partially be because the hops have not aged well, that thing has turned to be not necessarily super bad, but it's not something I'd recreate. It was very, very tart, and it needed some more honey bolstering character. I also have another one. I gotta find it. Gotta find my extract. Let's see.
Yeah, I can 100% see that with hops. Even for beer, it's not meant to be. It's something to be turned over quickly. Hops don't pretty much age well.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that one's gonna end up being something I let sit for a couple years, but that's okay. My other one, I actually like this stuff. This is rose extract from Amaretti. And this stuff's expensive for one, but it's really, really good. It literally tastes like, if you boiled down 1,000 roses. But I made a straight up rose mead, and I used, oh shoot, what kind of honey was that? Oh no, I just lost it. I've used too many honeys at this point. I used a honey that was extra floral.
Alfalfa?
Alfalfa, yes, that's what it was. It was like just known for being already very lavender, rose, whatever, dandelion, crazy flowery flavors. And so piling on rose on top of it, the beginning was good, but then given like 6 months of age, I feel like I'm literally just drowning in a meadow. So that's kind of
almost like a perfume or a candle.
Yeah, it's too much, and it doesn't have any like real honey character. It just has the honey. Well, it doesn't have any honey sweetness. It has the honey character, but no sweetness. So I would definitely, if you make a rose mead of some sort, use them wisely and use your honey wisely. So we got a few new people in here. We've got, I'm going to mess this up, so sorry, Rolfer Talster. I'm sure I nailed that. And we have Tana in the Bibs. Welcome everybody to the Discord. If you are not currently in the Discord, feel free to join us. I will again spam the link in the chat right now if you want to join us. We're getting to chat, which is fun. Does anybody have my next question for everybody here? Anyone have any holiday recipes they would be willing to share with the group for Christmas, I should say, because that's, well, I guess you could say Thanksgiving, but Christmas probably more specifically.
Actually thinking of again, but with cardamom.
Cardamom?
If a bun, yeah, usually go well together as a sweet. How it'll mead.
What was your first flavor? Is it just cardamom, or would you say? Are you saying something else too?
No, just banana.
Okay.
So
I like that. I've never experienced it, so I don't know. I can't say for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know how much of cardamom to add because I haven't made a methicillin yet. So need to figure that one out.
I just used cardamom for the first time the other day in my apple pie bochet that I'm making, and I definitely was a little nervous because I didn't realize how strong it was. And I did fine in the end, but I was nervous using it because it is a strong flavor.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any other Christmas time / I guess Thanksgiving time recipes?
I got one going right now. It's a kind of a play off of something that a buddy of mine found at IKEA called I think it was a groglog. Had it, and it's basically a triple berry mead that in secondary I'm going to be putting mulling spices in.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that.
That sounds good.
Triple berry. Is it like raspberry, blueberry, blackberry? Is that what you're going for?
I actually went more cherry, blueberry, and blackberry.
Okay. Are you using frozen, or are you picking them yourself? Are you mashing them up? What are you doing?
I used frozen. I got started a little late to be able to go get a fresh batch.
I don't see any problem in using frozen though. Frozen is, it's funny you say that. So I've been doing a bunch of other video stuff. Obviously I have to keep up with my own schedule. One of my things that I made the other day, or started at least, is I call it the freezer dump mead, and it's where you literally just dump everything that you're trying to get rid of in your freezer. So I had like a mixed berry blend and some apples and some cantaloupe and some other crazy stuff in there. Now I don't know how well I don't think it's gonna taste very good, but I got rid of all that stuff, so I guess that's a success in some manner, right?
Evening, everybody.
Welcome. We got a lot of people in here. It's exciting. Holiday recipes. That's our topic we're on right now. Christmas, of course, you can think of Thanksgiving. I think it's harder to think of Thanksgiving other than pie meads, which there are plenty of those options.
I'm gonna do a pumpkin pie mead once October starts coming to the end, and I'll get some pumpkins, little ripe pumpkins.
I saw somebody the other day it was on the Mead Reddit. They had started I'm pretty sure it was, I don't know if it was the Mead Reddit. It was a brewing Reddit of some sort. Anyways, they had started brewing in a pumpkin. And I thought that was an interesting way to accomplish the mead character. I don't really know how well it worked, but interesting enough.
I'm thinking pumpkin would probably need a lot of aging time to really mellow the flavor, like apple does. Apple needs a lot of time to age.
Yeah, that for sure.
This is definitely gonna sit for a little bit. Even if it's like January, I take it out, taste it, see how it mellows. But
I've got an apricot mead that's probably about 3/4 of a gallon here that I'm aging right now, and it is the most beautiful gem color you've ever seen. Oh, it's gorgeous.
How'd you introduce the apricots?
What's that?
How'd you introduce your apricots?
Actually, I started up with too many thoughts in only one mouth. What I did is, instead of using fresh apricots, because they can get kind of pricey, I just used canned apricots. Apricot halves, canned, and high fructose corn syrup, which is fermentable. So I went with 3 pounds of honey, a couple cans of apricot, and I wasn't worried about the apricots getting banged up and all that, because I wanted them to be in there anyway. Dumped them in, topped it off with water, and I went with D47 instead of 71B.
Mm-hmm.
Because the luck I've had with D47 tends to really make things dry. So I wasn't worried about all the honey and then the corn syrup in there with it. It actually kept it nice and sweet. It turned out to be more like a dessert wine or a dessert mead.
I think especially if I've done that with I've used canned pineapple rings, and that same thing had corn sugar in it, and it worked really well for my kind of goal of making a sweet pineapple mead, because I stabilized out of that in. Of course, it's corn sugar and it's more fake sugar than honey, but you still accomplish the goal of a sweet mead, and you retain the flavors of pineapple or whatever fruit you're using. So I don't think that's a bad way to go about that at all.
Yeah, my first apple, ooh, it was bad. Oh, so bad. I didn't know any better. I thought it was ruined, and I dumped it. I actually got rid of it because I didn't realize pineapple needs a lot of age as well. You can't drink it young. No, you don't drink that young. It was it was enough to gag a maggot. But I've got.
Go ahead. You're good. Go ahead.
Well, I've got a Kill You here, Kilju. It's like a sugar wine. I use the raw cane sugar, the brown cane sugar, like turbinado.
Mm-hmm.
That warm water, 2.5 ounces of fresh mint, and a full packet of 71B for that. And I've sampled it a little bit, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm going to let sit and age a little bit more. And right around Christmas time, I think I'll be bottling that and handing that out.
That sounds great, man.
Oh, it's delicious.
My main recipe. Well, I'm adding to my arsenal the apple pie bochet for sure. I'd love to nail down a pumpkin pie bochet at some point, but of course the peppermint is. I haven't made a new batch recently, but I need to just, I guess once Christmas ends, probably just buy up all the candy canes no one bought and just make another like 12 gallons of it for the future, because that thing a couple years later is absolutely fantastic. It's just a huge pain to do.
I'll have to try that.
It's very interesting, and it's obviously, you can make it lighter. I make mine generally probably 14%. I haven't tried it as like a 7%. I just feel like the body on a 7% peppermint mead would be weird. I think of like peppermint schnapps. If peppermint schnapps were like really low ABV, it'd feel kind of weird.
Yeah, you drink something with peppermint, you expect it to have that little bit of a kick.
Yeah.
Like a schnapps.
You expect to be knocked on your feet a little bit. So that's kind of kind of what I was going for. And I think I've accomplished that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any other? I haven't looked at the chat in a little bit. Having too much fun over here in the Discord. Join us in the Discord if you're not there yet. Anyone else have any seasonal recipes that you would recommend?
I don't have a recipe, but I want to make a cranberry sauce mead.
How would you go about that if you were doing it? What would you do?
I honestly don't know. I definitely think I have some oranges and some cranberry, and then probably put the spices in the secondary, because those are pretty volatile and they'll be gone as far as the flavors go.
Yeah.
Probably some star anise, maybe some cinnamon, and some cloves.
I follow that.
I would say try and make a jam out of some cranberries or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or
my wife,
maybe even just get some cranberry sauce, like the canned stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go with the canned stuff because that's got preservatives in it and it might hinder your fermentation. What my wife makes up, not everybody in the family here likes the canned cranberry sauce. What she makes up is a cranberry salad. She'll go and get fresh frozen cranberries, and then she'll also get a couple boxes of like raspberry jello, make up the jello. She'll get a couple Granny Smith apples, dice them up, and walnuts are optional. You can put them in if you want or not. And a can of the crushed pineapple, and she'll set up the jello. And once the jello firms up, she takes it out, throws in the cranberries and the apples and the pineapple, mixes that around, and that is the cranberry salad. It is delicious. So you could probably go something along that line. Cranberries, maybe get some blackberries to add to it for a little bit of extra depth. Maybe 1 or 2 Granny Smith apples diced up, peel and all. And as far as like the spices, I would take the star anise, the clove, and I wouldn't go more than 1 clove. The clove and a cinnamon stick, and put them in cheesecloth and drop them in for during primary. And then you can always fish that out. If it needs a little extra time with it, throw it back in.
That sounds good.
Yeah, my mom was big on experimenting with recipes, and me, my brother, and my dad, we were the guinea pigs. So I've learned quite a bit on how to experiment and make stuff work.
That's the whole. I mean, that's homebrewing right there. I feel like half of our world is like making a mistake, and then you just figure out how to make it better.
Yep. I was watching a video somewhere, and I don't remember whose video it was, but they said, home brewing, if you're experimenting, you're not doing it right. And I thought to myself, no, that's all part of how all millions of different recipes come about. If everybody used the same recipe, if everybody used the same recipe, this place, nobody would be doing this because there's no variety.
Exactly. I think, if we weren't experimenting, I wouldn't have made a peppermint mead out of a bunch of candy canes. And like Doing the Most, who is one of my good friends, he was not a believer in the candy cane mead. He wouldn't have ever tried it if I hadn't tried it, and he liked it. So you just got to go for it.
That's good.
It's It's all about honestly making mistakes. I feel like I learn way more from my mistakes than I do from my successes. I don't know about you guys, but
yep, I feel the same. And I'm kicking myself for this too. I started a banana mead, and I had such high hopes for it. It's under my desk, fermenting away, and I thought, it's time to check on it. I want to pull the bananas out, and pulled the. I didn't have them in a bag. I just had them, laying in there, kind of floating, and I figured when they fall to the bottom, they're fine. I wasn't worried about mold growth because oxygen. But when I opened the jar up, I saw these little brown specks floating all over the top. I thought, oh my God, it's mold.
Oh no.
And I'm like, well, I can't do anything with it. It's moldy. So went out, dumped it out in the ditch out behind the house, and the squirrels and the birds, they had a nice little party that night. About a week later, I find out it wasn't mold. It was yeast that had kind of floated to the top and just clung together. It killed me.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, it's hard to know for sure. And anytime I see anything floating on the top of the mead, of course, there are some things that are categorically true, like strawberries put off this white foam that
Yep.
kind of looks like a mold, but it also, I mean, it can be natural. So regardless, though, it's kind of sketchy. I mean, I think there's a part of us as people that when we see something that looks off, that our brain goes, hey, I probably shouldn't drink that. And that's probably a good safeguard for us to, like, you know, not die of some random, you know, poisoning of some sort.
Well, the research I've done online then from other meaderies and other YouTubers, what I come across was, you know, as long as the pressure in your airlock is positive, just give it a little swirl, and if, you know, you see the airlock bubble, that means there's no oxygen in there. It's just off gassing now. So whatever's floating in there most likely isn't mold, because, you know, mold needs oxygen as one of the ingredients for it to grow. And another thing I learned was, if you think it's mold, stir it around until it just completely dissolves inside the brew. Let it sit. If it comes back the same colors, then it's time to pitch it, because it's most likely mold.
Yeah, no, I can see that for sure. I definitely, honestly, the biggest thing I'd also say too along those lines is, like, if you think it's mold, look up your specific, if you're using a fruit, look up peaches, mold, mead, and probably there's someone on Reddit, I'm sure, or somebody in a group somewhere that has experienced that and can say, hey, no, that's not mold, that's this natural, you know, enzyme that's created when yada yada sciencey things. And if not, then you can always go the route of, like, smelling it and see if, like, does this smell bad? Because normally mold does not smell good. And if it doesn't smell bad, generally it's not mold. But I've only experienced that once.
Yeah, after learning that, I started up another banana mead, and it's sitting under my desk. I just have to rack it. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet, but all I gotta do is rack it, and then I'll let it sit and, you know, flocculate a second time, and then I'll rack it a second time and just let it age then. But it looks so beautiful. It has a wonderful banana smell. It is crystal clear, like a nice yellowy colored clear.
Yeah.
I took a little sample of it. Oh, my father-in-law looked at it. He goes, "That looks like piss in your glass." It's like, no, it's not. I promise.
Oh man, no, that's awesome.
But yeah, it's great. I mean, I don't know what prompted me to get into brewing. I forget who I think it was a Modern Rogue. I saw their episode where they were making their own mead, and either that or I had stumbled across maybe City Steading first and watched Brian's video of Viking blood wine or whatever it was, and it just, that is so stupid simple. And the most expensive part is the honey, though.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's so simple.
I got into mead making because I didn't want to buy all the extra things to brew beer, and when I realized that mead making is, you know, a carboy and honey and water and some yeast, you just shake it up and go. It became it's pretty clear at that point. Hey, I should probably I'm gonna go down this road, and here we are now. So it's definitely one of the easier things to brew. I do think in a lot of ways it's way more complicated than beer. And it's equally, if not more difficult. Well, I don't know, say more difficult than wine, but on the same playing field as wine in difficulty.
Yeah.
So that's go us, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, mead can be as simple as you want it to be, or as complex as you could possibly want. Once you get yeast, water, and sugar together, the rest is opinion.
Yep.
I think that's the hardest thing about with mead growing as much as it is. a lot of this is about opinions of what people like. For example, like this right here, what I've been drinking on is the peanut butter jelly crime from Superstition Meadery. And it's one that if you look up Superstition Meadery, most people, they have a lot of great stuff, but it's like the top of their rung. It's the one of the people freak out about. People lose their mind about how good it is. And I'm not saying it's not good, but what I'm saying is that, in my opinion, it is not the most amazing thing that's ever existed. So we kind of live in this world of opinions, and when we make mead, our goal should be to make mead for ourselves and of course to other people, eventually, but make mead that you like and just go from there. But don't try and I guess unless you have a wife or something that you're trying to save money on alcohol, don't worry about trying to make mead for anybody else.
Pretty much.
So, all right. Hey, we still got quite a few people on here. This is great. So one of my topics was what are some holiday recipes, and I now want to kind of switch gears and ask you guys, what are some, I've done videos about this in the past, but what are some mead mistakes that you've experienced that you'd be willing to share with us? What are some things that have happened that you go, oh, that was dumb? I know I definitely have quite a few things, but I will open the floor first.
First and foremost, be patient.
Yep.
Be patient. If this is your first time making a mead, do not expect your mead to taste great as soon as you get done racking it, because you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be looking at this going, ew, this is supposed to taste like this? I see why it went out of favor. No, you got to be patient with it.
Mm-hmm. I think there's also that I heard that initially too when I first started, and I agree, because obviously every mead gets better over time. I think there's also a special kinship that we all have to our first brews, that when you make something, you automatically are kind of at least I did. I looked past a lot of mistakes, a lot of gross tastes, because I was like, I made this, therefore it is good. And now a couple years later, after tasting those things, I definitely see the flaws. At the time, I don't think I saw the same flaws. So but I agree, time is everything with mead making, wine making in general.
This just reminds me of my first mead, which was a waterless sizer that I forgot that the apple would add a better than fair amount of sugar. So, I mean, it fermented to a good 14%, but it had so much sweetness to it that, yeah, I had to turn around and fortify it with scotch, whiskey, rum, something to make it even bearable to taste.
Yeah. I think I didn't know how sugary a lot of those drinks are, grape juice, apple juice, all those, until I did my cheap juice to wine cider, wine/cider video, and I realized, like, oh man, the starting gravity for like straight up apple juice is like 1060. It's like that's already pretty crazy without having to do anything, which is nice if you want to use that to your advantage. But obviously, if you're not considering that, then you end up with something pretty strong. Any other mead mistakes you guys would be willing to admit?
Go ahead, Javier.
Well, the first mead I ever made, can't say it was really a mistake, but just an unfortunate series of events. The AC in my house went out, so down here in Texas, in the summer it gets really hot, and so my first mead, after a few months, I tasted it and I had my friends taste it, and one of them even did a spit take and thought I poisoned him. So You know, uh,
Wow.
yeah. So those first meads are always a learning thing. You know, if you have no idea what you're doing, you're not gonna make something good. And eventually, you know, I joined a club and started talking with people and getting more and more information. And now I've made stuff that's won a couple of awards and it's doing pretty well.
That's awesome, man.
Nice. Very cool.
Sorry, I'm multitasking, trying to get everything.
All good.
Time is definitely one of my biggest probably mead mistakes is time, and I have tried my best to put back bottles. I have a 2020 box, and I think it's been a big accomplishment for me because I've only touched one of the bottles in there, and the rest I haven't touched at all, and I was planning to drink them this year 2020, but I'm going to try and wait a little longer. But time is my biggest thing. Of course, you know, listing off a couple more, like sanitation, everybody can attest to, you know, how important sanitation is. I don't want to go into that, but I would recommend for everybody.
You don't just spit on your equipment and wipe it off and there it's clean? That you don't do that?
No. Oh man. I'm sure the YouTube commenters would roast me. That's for sure. You guys would be all over me if I was doing that. I wouldn't see the end of it.
Yeah, sanitation is a must.
Someday I'll do a bad mead making practices, and I'll just like do everything wrong, and
put a big disclaimer throughout it several times. This is not for you to do.
Exactly.
I mean, if it was good enough for Wild West bartenders, it's good enough for us, right?
Yeah.
I think you've been watching too many movies.
My other mead making, like, I guess, learning thing would be just knowing when to use primary fermentation and knowing when to use secondary fermentation. Obviously, they're two different things, and honestly, it just takes experience to say, like, hey, apples do better in the secondary, or pears do better in the secondary, or peaches do better in the primary, and just like try and learn those things on your own. But that,
well, okay, let me ask something then. Since you brought that up, secondary, is that like a second fermentation, or are you referring to aging and conditioning?
I consider primary and secondary are fermentation stages. So they're the three stages for me: are primary, secondary, aging. And aging is where I put a lot of my fruits. So for example, well, I do a lot on secondary as well, but primary is your bulk, of course. Secondary is your tiny amount of fermentation you know that's going to occur because you added, you know, your apples, and you know that there's a little bit of sugary content in apples. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but secondary for me is a fermentation stage.
Okay, because to me, that's still, in my opinion, that's still primary fermentation. You know, you're adding stuff to it, there's new sugars in there, and if it's still fermenting, that's all part of the, in my opinion, it's all part of the primary fermentation, the main fermentation.
Yeah.
Conditioning would be after the fermentation is done. It's not going to, you know, ferment out anymore. And now you want to flavor it with, say, cherry or apple or peach or whatever. And you put that in during the conditioning phase. That there is a possibility of a minor fermentation starting up, but by that point, 99% of your yeast colony is pretty much done because they've reached their alcohol tolerance, and whatever you have left to add now is flavoring.
Yeah, I agree. I think that for me, mentally, I think about, I have to let there be a secondary fermentation. Namely because I feel like the secondary fermentation is not nearly as vigorous, and that's why I kind of label it as a secondary fermentation. A primary is where you lose because the yeast are most active, you're losing a lot of those honey aromas, your fruit characters, whatever's leaving the airlock. In the secondary, you have this similar quote problem.
Yeah.
But to me, when you rack off of your primary fermentation, if you have waited long enough and let things settle, you lose a bulk of the yeast colony, assumedly. Therefore, when you are re-fermenting, the yeast are not as strong, so they don't have as much capability to ferment. They still will ferment on whatever you give them, but they're not as strong as they were before. So I don't see that as a time when you're losing as much important flavor. So that's why I call it a secondary fermentation. I do, like my apple cider I make, I put my apples, after making, you know, the gallons of apple juice and water and honey and all that stuff, I put my apples in the aging stage after I stabilize. Because I think that is where I get the best apple character, best apple flavor, because there's no re-fermentation. So that's another thing, though. That's all open to interpretation. Nobody's wrong by saying primaries, secondaries not a thing, or primary, whatever. It's all how you want to view brewing.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. All right, I got about 7 minutes, and then I gotta wrap this up. But this has been a lot of fun. I have not looked at the chat. I am failing as a host right now. Hope that everybody's having fun in the chat as well. This has been very, very fun. I was a little nervous, honestly, about trying this, because I haven't ever done a call-in or a chat like this, but this has been fun. It's very new.
Got a question then.
Go for it.
If I'm allowed to ask. In the call here, what has everyone, I'm sure at least at some point has had an aggressive fermentation by means of, bubbling up into your airlock. What was the most aggressive fermentation you guys have had, and how long did it last?
Just recently. My tropicals Hydromel. Because I was using Viking yeast with that, so I wanted to keep it up to temp to give the tropical flavor. So I was keeping it up at like 95 degrees, 92 degrees.
Yeah.
And it kicked right off, and it was 24 hours later. I went to bed, woke up, probably like a quart was on the floor.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to put a blow off tube and everything, but man, Viking does not play.
Yeah, the worst I had, the worst one I ever had, and I call it the angry volcano phase, was my Apricot Mead. For whatever reason, it just would not stop. Now, I didn't have a blow-off tube. All I could do was set it. I took the fermenter and I set it right down inside of a gray scrub bucket. So if anything bubbled over, it would just go right down into the bucket. I'm not lying, guys. For 3 days straight, I had to keep emptying out the airlock and refilling it with fresh cleaner because it just would not stop. For 3 days, it just kept going. So I call that one my angry volcano, because it was just like Mount Vesuvius, just bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. I didn't lose a lot of product, but it was a lot of volume from the fermentation going on. It was insane.
My coffee mead has been doing the same thing. I swear, for a week, I had just about daily clean out that airlock. It didn't lose much in the way of volume, and it didn't geyser out or anything, but goodness gracious.
And it makes you wonder what's causing it to do that. You know, is there something in the brew that's causing it to do that? You know, I have no clue. I have no idea.
I think a lot of it's your yeast, whatever you choose. I mean, obviously, like a lot of an EC1118 or champagne yeast is generally meant to be more vigorous. So, also your solids. You know, in a coffee mead, if you've used coffee grounds, and there's coffee grounds blocking the way for the CO2, then of course that can create a more explosive thing. I had that with a coconut chip mead that I used. I used coconut chips in a mead, and the coconut chips blocked up the way for the CO2 to leave. So next thing I know, the coconut chips are at the top and things are coming out, and it wasn't anything that I'd done wrong. It's just obstructions.
Yeah.
On my coffee, I'm assuming it has to be the nutrients because I didn't put any grounds in there, so I can only assume they just got really happy.
Yeah, nutrients will definitely do that too. If you give them the right things, you know, if you give me a couple Red Bulls, I'm having a great day as well.
Hey, I put a picture of my newest mead mug in your general chat. I think if you want, you can post a copy of it in the chat on your YouTube.
Oh man!
No, it's in the meme chat.
I gotta find it real fast. Hold on.
Yep, it's in the meme chat.
Oh, there you go. Like that. Let me plug. I'm gonna plug this one more time. Put it in our live stream chat. This is live right now. Joe Pastafari, we are live right now. If you want to join this Discord, we don't always do this voice chat thing, but we do a lot of just chatting in general about mead making, and it's a really fun community. I promise you. There's a lot of cool stuff to come. I'm learning about Discord every day, so one of my goals is to make it better. So I'm starting to create some different little communities within it, and of course some like tiers of like, hey, I've made 10 brews, so I get this badge and those things like that. So I'm having to learn how to do that. But if you want to join us, the link is there. Or if you are listening, because I am using this as a podcast. Sorry if you weren't aware of that. This is, you can join us on the Discord. I'm going to try and put it in the show link description. But yeah, you guys, this has been a ton of fun. Seriously, I about 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago, I was like, I want to try and do this, and I have jerry-rigged a system going from my phone. All of Discord is coming from my phone, and microphones and all this insanity. But this has been a blast. Seriously, go join this Discord, you guys, if you want to be a part of this community. And yeah, I'm going to do more of these in the future because, again, this has been fun. So, unfortunately, I do have to end the stream because I haven't had dinner for one, but two, I also probably should edit some videos before I get back to normal life. So, I hope you guys have a fantastic night. Thanks to everybody who joined the Discord. I hope to see you guys again in the future as well.
Yep, I got to get back to my studies, so...
Good luck to everybody. I hope you have a great night, a great Sunday night. Get some mead if you haven't already had some, and enjoy it. So I'll see you guys, see everybody next time for another stream. Don't know when it'll be, but it'll be someday. So have a great one.
All right. Have a good night.
Cheers, y'all.